I gave up my chance to go to college and gave all my tuition money to Jay. For 4 years, he enjoyed the comfortable life I built for him. Meanwhile, I was struggling just to stay afloat. When he graduated, his wedding to the most popular girl on campus was the talk of the town. I, on the other hand, died from overwork on a stormy night. When I opened my eyes again, I was 18. Jay was holding me, vowing, "Leah, I'll marry you as soon as I graduate." The sound of a train rushing by filled my ears. I opened my eyes to find Jay holding me in his arms. He was saying, "Leah, don't worry. I'll never let you down. As soon as I graduate and find a job, we'll get married." I rubbed my eyes, realizing it wasn't a dream. All the pain from my past life came flooding back. I shoved him away with all my might. He stumbled and fell, still clutching the money I had given him. He looked stunned. "Leah, what's wrong?" I walked over, crouched down, and without a moment's hesitation, snatched the money back. "Jay, I've changed my mind." His lips trembled. "What do you mean?" I stood up and brushed the dust off my clothes. "I'm keeping this money. I'm going to college myself." He panicked, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Then what about me?" He scrambled to grab my arm. "Leah, didn't we have a deal? I used the money. I'm a man, it'll be easier for me to find a good job with a college degree. You're a girl, so a high school diploma is enough. We'll get married after I graduate." In my last life, that's exactly what happened. Jay and I grew up together, and our parents had us engaged since we were kids. Both our families were poor, and my parents were against me pursuing higher education anyway. So when we both got into college at the same time, I took matters into my own hands. I worked in a factory all summer to earn my own tuition. But the day before school started, Jay came to me saying he didn't have the money for his. He begged and pleaded, and I caved. I gave him all my money and threw away my own future. This time, I wouldn't make the same mistake. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my shirt. His voice trembled. "Leah, please help me." I looked at him, and my resolve hardened. "Jay, your future shouldn't be built on my back. The people responsible for you are your parents and yourself, not me. But you're my fiancé. I told you, I'll marry you after I graduate. Why are you doing this? A girl doesn't need all that education." My face darkened. I shook his hand off me. "It's the 21st century. An arranged childhood engagement isn't legally binding. I'm going to tell my parents we're calling it off. And whether they agree or not, it's over." His expression turned cold. After a long moment, as I walked away, I heard him roar behind me, "Leah Miller, you'd better not regret this." I went home. In the yard, my mom was washing clothes. She looked up when she saw me, then straightened up, clutching her back, and yelled for me to come over. "Where have you been messing around? You've been gone all afternoon. Get over here and wash these clothes." I glanced at the basin. It was full of my little brother Leo's clothes. "Make Leo wash his own." Without another look at her, I walked straight to my room. She exploded like a firecracker, standing outside my door and screaming at me, "You ungrateful brat. A complete waste of money. I'd have been better off giving birth to a brick than having you. I should have drowned you at birth." She hurled every nasty insult she could think of. But I felt nothing. It was all depressingly familiar. My dad died in a car accident 2 years ago. My mom took the settlement money and closed the case. "Your brother is still young," she'd said. "I have to save this money for him." So when I got my college acceptance letter, she told me point blank, "Don't go. Your father's gone, and it's too much pressure for me to raise you both alone. You're 18 now. It's time you started helping me carry the load." So under pressure from both sides, I gave up college that year. That started my life of working endless odd jobs. Every month, part of my salary went to Jay for his living expenses, and another part went home to my mom and Leo. I kept only a tiny fraction for myself. I thought I only had to endure it for 4 years. I just had to wait for Jay to graduate and marry me. But what I got was news of him breaking off our engagement to marry another woman. I was working 3 jobs a day, chronically malnourished, and ended up dying from overwork on the side of the road. No one was sad. No one cared. I sewed the tuition money I'd earned into the seams of my pants and wore them to bed. Just one more day. If I could just make it through this one night, I could finally be free of them all. My life was finally getting a reboot. At 4 a.m., the sky was still dark. I got up in the pitch black, my old backpack containing nothing but my acceptance letter. I slung the bag over my shoulder, left a signed note officially breaking off the engagement, and slipped out of the house. It wasn't until I was on the train heading to my college town that the knot in my chest finally loosened. Standing at the gates of the university, I felt the reality of my second chance for the first time. Southridge University. I knew this place, but in my past life, I only came here to be closer to Jay, taking a part-time job serving food in the cafeteria. I still remembered that day. I saw him, excitedly waving my ladle to say hi, wanting to share the good news about my new job. But he immediately looked down, trying to pretend he didn't know me. When his roommates noticed me, he had no choice. He told them I was a poor, distant relative from his hometown and that they weren't close. Later, he found me and, with a frown, told me to quit. "Leah," he said, "don't you know how embarrassing this is for me?" Back then, I just lowered my head and listened to his complaints. I didn't even dare to let the tears fall until after he had left. I thought my patience and sacrifice would one day be rewarded. So stupid, Leah. In this world, you can't rely on anyone but yourself. After registering and paying my tuition, I followed the directions to the dorms. As luck would have it, I ran right into Jay as I was coming downstairs. His face was ashen when he saw me. I was going to pretend I didn't know him and walk past, but he grabbed my wrist. His eyes were filled with hatred. "Leah, you think I couldn't go to school without you?" I twitched my lip and pried his hand off. "So? If you had the money to come to school, why were you so desperate for mine?" His face turned beet red. "If it weren't for you, would my parents have had to drive for miles in the middle of the night just to borrow money?" He stepped closer. "Leah, you'll regret this. You think a degree will change anything? You're a woman. Even if you graduate, you won't find a good job. You'll just have to get married in the end. We'll see who wants you without me. You think you can just turn from a nobody into a princess? Dream on." I slapped him right across the face. He froze. It took him a moment to stammer, You hit me?" "Damn right I did. Jay, let's get this straight, right here and now. You will not harass me again. We'll pretend we never knew each other. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make your life miserable." Before he could react, I was already down the stairs. When I found my dorm room, someone was already there. My roommate, Wendy. Her parents were with her, one wiping down her desk and the other making her bed. She was leaning against the doorframe, complaining, "This dorm is so run down." Her mom comforted her, "Honey, just stick it out. We don't live that far from campus anyway. On weekends, I'll have your dad pick you up." The scene stung my eyes a little. My life had never had moments like these. My parents favored my brother. He was the only one they ever saw. As she turned, her eyes met mine. She smiled and held out a friendly hand. "Hi, you must be my new roommate." I shook her hand, still in a daze. My life, it seemed, was really starting to change. On the first day of classes, I ran for class officer. And I won. I didn't dare slack off. I sat in the front row for every class, taking meticulous notes, because I knew how precious this opportunity was for me. After class, I went to the cafeteria and successfully got my old part-time job back. Only this time, it was for myself. With this job, my living expenses were covered. But it was only enough for that. Tuition was still going to be a problem. Wendy noticed my financial struggles and one day asked me if I was interested in tutoring. $30 an hour. Her cousin, a fourth grader, needed 4 sessions a week. I threw my arms around her, overjoyed, and thanked her for her help. In my past life, I worked on a factory assembly line for $7 an hour. I'd come home so tired I could barely stand up straight, earning just over $40 a day. It suddenly hit me how much of a difference knowledge could make. I started working in the cafeteria on weekdays and tutoring on weekends. One day at noon, I was serving food in the cafeteria. I saw Jay approaching from a distance. He got in my line. I was surprised. In my past life, he avoided the cafeteria like the plague after he found out I worked there. Why was he actively seeking me out now? Soon it was his turn. He handed me his tray and pointed to 2 vegetable dishes. I quickly served him. "That'll be $2. But he didn't move to take the tray. There was a line behind him, and I frowned. Swipe your card. He clutched the hem of his shirt, gathered his courage, and leaned in to whisper, Leah, could you give me some meat? I glanced at him. Which one? His ears turned bright red. He looked around nervously, then said sheepishly, could you just give it to me? My parents didn't give me much for living expenses. I put down the ladle I was about to use for the meat and said coldly, either swipe your card or move along. There are other people waiting. His eyes dimmed. He raised his hand, swiped his card, and shot me a resentful look before walking away. I rolled my eyes. In my last life, he took my money and feasted while I survived on plain bread. He even used my money to chase other girls. He never felt sorry for me for a single second. He just took my sacrifices for granted. I don't get it. Was he just that used to me giving him everything? Even now, why hasn't it occurred to him to earn some money for himself? Well, if this is how things are today, he deserves it. The semester flew by in a flurry of fulfilling activity. Because I ranked in the top 5 of my class for finals, I earned a scholarship. I also got the chance to change my major. Without a second thought, I chose computer science. When summer break arrived, I applied to stay on campus. I spent my time catching up on CS coursework and working a part-time job. One evening, on my way back to the dorms, I saw Leo running toward me excitedly from the front of the building. Sis, you're finally back. Mom and I couldn't get in touch with you. My intuition told me his appearance was not good news. Mom fell while working and hurt her leg. The hospital in our town couldn't treat it, so they sent us to the state capital. When I got to the hospital, my mom was in the room, along with my Aunt Carol, whom I had only met twice in my entire life. If I remembered correctly, she had married a man from the city, and their whole family later moved to the suburbs of the state capital. Back home, she was considered to have married well, so she always had a certain air of arrogance around us. Seeing Leo bring me in, she shot me a look of disapproval. Leah, it's not my place to say, but what's the use of you going to college? Don't they teach you to respect your elders anymore? Your mother is this sick and you didn't even know. My mom glared at me and quickly chimed in, that's right. They say a daughter who marries is like water thrown out, but you're not even married yet and you're already like this. I really raised an ungrateful brat. Honestly, Leah, you have no heart. You don't think about your mother or your brother at all. Your family's not well off, you shouldn't have gone to college in the first place. The tuition is expensive and it's a waste of time. It's not like before when a degree guaranteed you a job. It's useless for a girl like you to get so much education. You kids are just brainwashed by all that stuff you see on the news. You should have gotten a job sooner, then gotten married and supported your brother through school. I'm only telling you this because I care about you. Your dad's gone, so the family's only hope is Leo. Leah, it's not too late. Why don't you just drop out? Leo has his college entrance exams next year. How is your mother supposed to support 2 college students on her own? I hadn't even had a chance to say a word since I walked in, and the 2 of them had already planned out my entire future. I calmly sat down on the chair across from them. I stared at her for a moment. Aunt Carol, isn't your daughter Cindy about to take her exams soon too? Cindy was her daughter. From what I'd heard, she hadn't even tested into high school. Her family had to pull strings and pay a hefty fee to get her into a rural high school. If college is as useless as you say, why did you go to so much trouble to make sure she could go to high school and take the entrance exams? She was taken aback, her expression a bit unnatural, but she stuck her neck out and argued, our family is different from yours. We're city people. Raising a daughter in the city isn't the same as in the countryside. Besides, we can afford it. Your family's situation is so difficult. You can't be this selfish, you have to think about your family. She spoke as if she was making perfect sense. I smirked. Sorry, but I haven't used a single penny of my family's money for this college education. Besides, if I can support myself through school, why can't Leo? I leaned in closer deliberately. Aunt Carol, what you're saying and what you've done are complete contradictions. I'm the first person in our family to ever go to college. As an elder, shouldn't you be happy for me? Or are you just afraid that if I graduate, get a good job, and make money, you'll lose your sense of superiority over us? Her eyes widened in disbelief. She spat at me, you have no manners. Then she grabbed her bag and stormed out. ignoring my mom's calls from behind her. After I'd driven her away, my mom glared at me and threw an empty bottle in my direction. Leah Miller, how dare you talk to your elders like that? The family has no money to treat my leg. Your aunt finally agreed to lend me some, and now you've scared her off. Where am I supposed to find the money now? I'm telling you, you're going to figure out a way to pay for my hospital stay, my treatment, and my recovery. So that's what this was all about. I spread my hands. I don't have any money. She sat up, agitated. Don't think I don't know what's going on. Stop pretending. Jay told us everything. He said you're working part-time, tutoring, and you even got a scholarship. You must have saved up a few $1,000s this semester. Leah Miller, don't forget, I'm your mother. You owe me this money. Don't think you're so grown up that I can't control you anymore. The family needs money for so many things. What's the big deal about you giving us some? If you don't give it to me today, I'll go to your school and cause a scene. I'll tell everyone that you abandoned your own mother after getting into college. You want to go to college so badly? I'll make sure the school expels you for being a person of questionable character. I always knew she didn't love me, but hearing her say it so bluntly still sent a pang of sadness through my heart. Suppressing my emotions, I stood up. Helen, my coming here today was the last act of kindness you'll ever get from me. As for the money, don't even think about it. You won't get a single cent. Since you love calling me an ungrateful brat, I might as well become one. Otherwise, I'd be letting your insults go to waste. I pointed at Leo, who had been standing silently to the side. If you dare go to my school and ruin my life, then you can be sure that your precious son will have it much worse than me. His future will go down with mine. I have nothing to lose. From now on, don't bother me again. Hearing me threaten her with Leo, the color drained from her face. She looked at me in disbelief. After a long moment, she managed to force out a complete sentence. You, how did you become like this? I don't have a daughter like you. I laughed. Perfect. Then from now on, you'd better pretend you don't. In my last life, she couldn't wait for me to marry Jay so she could get the bride price. After he broke up with me, her first reaction wasn't to comfort me, but to scold me for not being clever enough to hold on to a man. The very next day, she contacted a matchmaker, trying to sell me to an old bachelor in the next village just because he promised a $30,000 bride price. When she learned of my death, she wasn't sad, just disappointed that she'd lost her money tree. I don't need a family like that. I don't want one. Ignoring her, I turned to Leo. Leo, you know full well how many advantages you've gained by stepping on me your whole life. Since your mother just said she doesn't have me as a daughter, from now on, you're an only child. With that, I turned and walked away. Leo frantically grabbed my arm. Cease. I shook him off. Don't worry. Your mom has money. She got a $30,000 settlement from Dad's accident. Even without my help, that's more than enough for you to get through school and get married. Leo came to campus looking for me twice after that, but I hid and avoided him both times. Soon, the new school year began. Because I'd switched my major, I quit my job at the cafeteria. My days were spent shuttling between the library and the study hall after classes. My efforts paid off. Not only did I catch up with my peers, but I also became one of the top students. The year 2005 was a time of rapid internet development. I knew I had to seize this opportunity. In my past life, I worked at a wholesale clothing market. I remembered a girl who would come every weekend to buy clothes to sell online. A month before I died, I happened to see her being interviewed on TV. She had transformed into the CEO of a clothing company. So in my sophomore year, I used my technical skills to build a website and start selling clothes. I spent weekends taking multiple buses to the wholesale market, using the money I'd saved to buy my first batch of inventory. There wasn't much competition back then, and my website quickly gained traction and started getting orders. My free time was spent either at the wholesale market or packing and shipping orders. After about 6 months, I earned my first major profit, around $100,000 after costs. I took this money and my sales data from the past 6 months to a clothing factory and proposed a partnership. The manager met with me, listened to my business plan and creative ideas, and agreed to give me a shot. By working directly with the source manufacturer, my costs dropped significantly. As orders continued to pour in, I made nearly $1 million in just another 6 months. Staring at the balance in my bank account, I had to rub my eyes several times. I really could live this well on my own. During the summer after my junior year, I used $600,000 to buy 2 properties in the city. I knew that in another year, real estate prices would skyrocket. One was near the university, the other downtown. Even if something went wrong later, I would at least have 2 appreciating properties as a safety net. By the end of my junior year, everyone was stressing about finding internships. Meanwhile, my online store was getting bigger and bigger. A company approached me, offering to buy my online shop for $30 million. $30 million was no small sum for me. After a week of consideration, I agreed. While running the shop, I had been updating a blog. Over the past 2 years, that blog had accumulated a decent number of followers. With that audience, starting a new shop shouldn't be too difficult. Besides, I had started the first shop just to make money. Now that I had money, I had also discovered a passion for fashion. This was a chance to do something I truly loved. Create my own clothing brand. The day I signed the contract, the $30 million was wired to my account. By now, seeing that amount in my account wasn't as shocking as it used to be. I spent 2 days in my dorm room, carefully planning my future. To create my own brand, I needed to learn more about fashion professionally. So I decided to apply for a master's program in Milan. Over the weekend, I went to a study abroad agency and laid out my goals. With a year to prepare, I was confident that by this time next year, I would be standing on a campus in Milan, doing things I once never dared to dream of. That weekend, on my way to my IELTS prep class, I saw Jay standing outside the campus gate, holding a bouquet of flowers out to a girl. Looking closer, I saw that the girl was Chloe, the very same woman he had married in my past life. Chloe was an only child from a local family. Her dad supposedly owned a small factory, so her family was well off. For Jay to get with her back, then was a huge step up the social ladder. I assumed things would play out like last time, with Chloe accepting him and the 2 living happily ever after. But in the next second, Chloe snatched the flowers and threw them on the ground. Her face was flushed with anger. Jay, I've had it with you. It's my birthday, and you think you can get away with giving me a bunch of cheap flowers? Jay hung his head in embarrassment. Chloe, I'm a little short on cash right now. But don't worry, whatever you want in the future, I'll buy it for you. Chloe rolled her eyes. The future, the future. It's always the future with you. Last week, I paid for our movie tickets. And for her birthday last month, Jessica's boyfriend got her a designer bag. How did I end up with such a pathetic boyfriend? How am I supposed to compete with her? Her voice was so loud that a crowd of students had started to gather and watch the drama. Jay clenched his fists in humiliation and tried to soothe her in a low voice. Chloe, please try to understand. My parents are farmers back home, they don't make much money. But trust me, once I graduate, I'll find a good job, and I'll buy you anything you want. Chloe pushed his hand away. I don't care. I'm giving you 1 week. Get me a designer bag or we're breaking up. Without another word, she clicked away in her high heels, leaving Jay standing there alone, his face pale. In my last life, my support had shielded him from any money troubles, and he never once appreciated my hard work. But now he was suddenly aware of how hard his parents worked for their money. After the show was over, I slung my bag over my shoulder and headed out. Just as I reached the gate, he turned and saw me. Our eyes met. He gave me an awkward wave. Leah, heading out? Then he noticed the IELTS textbook in my hand. He looked up, surprised. What are you studying for the IELTS for? I didn't want to get tangled up with him, so I just said I was bored. Just learning for fun. He nodded, not quite understanding, then looked me up and down. Leah, it looks like you're doing really well. It was true. The outfit I was wearing probably cost over $1,000. Even if he didn't recognize the brands, he could tell from the quality that it wasn't cheap. I raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. He walked over, a fawning expression on his face. Leah, I heard you've been doing some business online and made some money. Plus, you get a scholarship every year, right? Look, I was wondering if you could lend me some. I'm in a tight spot right now. It doesn't have to be much. $20,000 would be enough. I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I can. I stared at him like he was an idiot. Jay, do I have the word sucker written on my forehead? He scratched his head awkwardly. No, that's not what I mean. You know graduation is coming up, and I'm looking for an internship everywhere. But there are too many college graduates and not enough jobs. Chloe's family has connections. If I want to stay here, I have to rely on her. I can't afford to get on her bad side. Leah, don't worry, I'll definitely pay you back. You haven't dated anyone these past few years. I know you're still not over me. I promise, after I marry Chloe and get my hands on her family's assets, I'll come back and marry you, okay? I felt like I had just heard a ghost story. I jumped back, putting a good 6 feet between us. Then I pointed at him and yelled, "Who the hell do you think you are? Wait for you to come back and marry me? You pathetic freeloader, stay the hell away from me. Even if every other man on earth dropped dead, I would never get together with you." Hearing me curse him out, his face turned ashen. He stood there stunned for a moment, then pointed a finger at me. Leah Miller, don't think I don't know what's going on. You got all that money from some man. You can tell other people you earned it yourself, but you don't expect me to believe that, do you? Let me tell you, I wouldn't want a woman like you anyway. And by the way, just you wait. I'm going to go back and tell your mother all about the shady stuff you've been doing at school, and I'll be sure to spread the word around the village. We'll see how she deals with you then. He spun around and walked away. I didn't have the energy to argue with him anymore. I hailed a cab and went to my prep class. With a clear goal in mind, the days flew by. I passed the IELTS on my first try, meeting the requirements for studying abroad. After preparing all my documents, I finally received an offer from my dream school. Only my guidance counselor and my roommates knew about my plans. When they found out I got in, they all insisted I treat them to dinner. I happily agreed. Just as we were all getting ready to leave, the class president ran over, looking a bit odd. "Leah, the counselor wants to see you in his office." When I got to the office, I saw my mother and Jay standing there. My heart sank. My mom saw me and stormed over, her face a mask of cold fury. She swung her hand, but I dodged, and her slap hit empty air. "Leah Miller, you've gotten bold, haven't you? Did I raise you to go to college just so you could become some old man's sugar baby?" I froze for a second, then glanced at Jay, who was looking guilty behind her. I instantly understood everything. I walked up and stared him down. "Jay, which one of your eyes saw me with a sugar daddy?" He couldn't meet my gaze but still insisted, "Isn't it true? Where else would you get so much money? And I've seen you going into that luxury apartment complex next to the school a few times." "Leah, I'm not trying to criticize you, but what you're doing is a disgrace to all of us college students." I looked at him coldly. "So in your eyes, the only way I could have money is if I got it through shady means? Of course. Even I, a man, can't earn much money, let alone a woman like you. Leah, you're such a disappointment." I turned to my mom. "Do you believe him?" She glared at me. "Don't try to change the subject. No wonder you haven't been home in years, you had other places to be. Now tell me the truth, how much money do you actually have?" I laughed and asked back, "What does my money have to do with you? Your brother didn't get into college. He met a girl while working, and her family is demanding a $20,000 bride price. Since you have money now, as his older sister, you should be the one to pay it, right?" Behind me, my guidance counselor's mouth twitched. "Mrs. Miller, right now these are all just speculations with no proof. Mr. Sun, I'm sorry you had to see this. But please rest assured, I have absolutely not done any of the things they're accusing me of," I said, turning to reassure my counselor. "Also, my mother's claim that she raised me to go to college is complete nonsense. For the past 4 years, I've paid for my own tuition and living expenses by working. She hasn't given me a single penny. So, right now, she has no right to be standing here questioning me. She came here today for 2 reasons. 1, she heard I have money and wants to figure out my financial situation. 2, she wants to see how much she can squeeze out of me for my brother." Hearing this, my mother started screaming, "You heartless girl. I raised you all these years. Even if there was no merit, there was hard work. If you don't give me the money, I'll go to your principal. I'll call the police." I'll report you for corrupting social morals and have you and your sugar daddy arrested. At this point, I had nothing left to hide. I stepped forward, and she immediately fell silent. I looked around the room and spoke slowly. I do have some money, but it wasn't given to me by anyone. I earned it through my own hard work. Over the last few years, I started an online clothing store. I got lucky and I managed to save up a bit. Later, a company took an interest in my store and bought it. Oh, and that apartment complex Jay saw me going into? I bought the place myself. As my words fell, Jay's face went completely white. How is that possible? My mother's expression, however, changed in an instant. I knew my daughter would never do something like that. Jay, I have to say, you're just jealous of our Leah, aren't you? Jealous that even as a girl, she's a better earner than you. After a lot of back and forth, we finally left the office. I walked ahead, and Jay ran to block my path. Leah, I'm sorry. I shot him a cold glance. Get out of my way. But he didn't budge. He looked up, his face full of pleading. Leah, please, you have to help me. Graduation is almost here, and I still haven't found a job. Chloe broke up with me. My mom's leg is still a problem, and we don't have money for her treatment. You're so rich now, could you lend me? No, I said, cutting him off. Jay, I have no obligation to help you. We haven't been on the same path for a long time. Once we step out of this school's gates, we'll never see each other again. So don't expect a stranger to help you. He was about to say more, but my mom pushed him aside. She beamed at me, her face a mess of wrinkles. Leah, I know I was wrong sometimes in the past, but we're mother and daughter. We're family, blood is thicker than water, you know. You're so successful now. Your mom can finally enjoy a good life with you. Look, I haven't even seen the apartment you bought yet. Why don't you give me a key? I rolled my eyes and gave her one last piece of advice. You can't make a withdrawal from a bank you never deposited in. Then I ignored them and hurried downstairs. I knew they wouldn't give up so easily. So after finalizing my study abroad arrangements, I made plans to rent out my 2 properties before I left the country. Before I left, I also had a will notarized. All my assets, should I pass away before having any descendants, would be unconditionally donated to a stray animal rescue center. After graduation, I spent some time traveling around the country by myself. When I got back, I had only 3 days until my master's program started. Dragging my suitcase home, I saw 2 figures squatting by my door from a distance. I heard Leo's voice. Mom, do you think she'll even come back? It's been half a month and we haven't seen her. My mom's sharp voice replied, her property is here. She can't run far. Don't you worry. I've asked around. She's a multi-millionaire now. With all that money, it's only right she gives some to us. When she gets back, we'll make her buy you an apartment and give us a few million. Then you can find any wife you want. And then I'll move in with her, and she can hire me a maid to take care of me. For the rest of my life, I'm going to live in luxury. Ha 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 ha. The 2 of them cackled with excitement at the thought. I picked up my suitcase, pressed the elevator button, and quietly went back downstairs. After checking into a hotel, I went to a real estate agency and changed the listings for my properties from for rent to for sale, giving the agency full authority. I stayed in the hotel for 3 days, then took the earliest flight to Italy. Before boarding, I answered a call from Leo. His urgent voice came through the phone. Sis, you finally answered. Where are you? I glanced at the plane outside. If you have something to say, say it. Sis, before he could finish, my mom snatched the phone. Leah, we're at your front door. When are you coming back? Your brother needs money, and you have to take care of him. He's the only brother you have. You'll need to rely on him in the future. I let out a soft laugh. Don't wait. I'm not coming back. From now on, you'll probably never find me. Don't even dream of getting a single penny from me. I'm telling you, I would donate all my money before I ever gave you any of it. Oh, and from now on, just pretend you never had me as a daughter. With that, I hung up, popped out the SIM card, and threw it in the trash. Later, I successfully completed my master's in Milan. I had kept my blog and social media updated, so I still had a decent following. Once all the preparations were in place, I launched my own clothing brand. I opened online and offline stores simultaneously. Within a few years, my physical stores had spread across all the major cities in the country. The next time I returned was 8 years later. I was there to attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new store. The store was located in the most bustling mall of a top-tier city. I stepped out of the car in full, exquisite makeup. A mall security guard jogged over to open my door. Our eyes met. Jay stood there, completely stunned. I glanced at the security uniform he was wearing without any change in my expression. Then my gaze moved past him as I followed the mall's general manager up the escalator. I didn't give him a second look. We were no longer on the same path. Sometime later, a girl from my hometown, Sandy, got my contact information through work. She told me that Jay had failed too many classes in college and never got his diploma. He struggled to find a job, bouncing between security, sales, and insurance, but his pride and arrogance meant he never lasted long in any of them. Before he knew it, he was almost 30 with no money, no career, and no wife. As for my mother, she'd thrown out her back while working 5 years ago. While she was in the hospital, my brother took all her money and gave it to his girlfriend to open a shop. The shop failed, and the girlfriend ran off. Now the two of them just fought at home every day. My mom was always complaining to the neighbors. If only I had been nicer to Leah back then. Leo refused to work and just lazed around at home, mooching off her. The two of them scraped by on whatever my mom could earn from occasional odd jobs. And at that moment, I was lying on a lounge chair on a beach in the Maldives, reading the messages Sandy sent me. I felt nothing at all. In my last life, I died on the side of the road. No one cared, no one felt sorry, and no one regretted it. In this life, they only regret it because I became valuable. But I don't need any of it anymore. My life is better on my own.